And that's how we shut it off. I guess when it sits on an angle like that, it'll kind of stall itself a little bit. But this is my mini chopper that I spent about, I'd say I probably got 15 hours in it, including making the new rear wheel and everything. Basically what I did was I started with a 2 horsepower 1970s Briggs & Stratton motor off of a lawn edger, or a sidewalk edger. And started by putting that on a bicycle. Almost killed myself on it, so I determined maybe I'll make a frame from scratch instead of being like everybody else. So went to Wagner Steel here in Valpo, bought some 1-inch 16 gauge square tube steel and some 5/8 as well for the parts that aren't important. Front fork made from scratch out of I believe it's 3/4 inch black gas pipe. I made a triple tree here. It's just some plate that I got from the scrapyard with a big washer welded around it, and these bolts come out so I can take the whole handlebars and everything out. Seats off an old Airdyne exercise bike. I took the padding off of it. It wasn't really any good anyway, and then just kind of made this whole thing. Took a mountain bike shock, painted it green like everything else. Like I said, the motor, it's a 2-horse Briggs & Stratton 109cc. Just have I think it's a Hillard centrifugal clutch on it with I kind of made my own jack shaft assembly there. It's a 12 tooth on the clutch, 13 on the one side of the jack shaft, 13 tooth on the other, and then 72 in the rear. The tire ends up being 20.5 inches tall, so forgot what theoretical top speed on it is, but according to my little speedometer here, I don't know if you can read it, I've went 18 miles, it's on rotating here. I've gone 45.9 miles an hour. That was down a very steep hill. Average speed is 20.7. On flat ground with me on it, it runs about 30. But it's geared, it's geared so high that it'll just keep climbing, faster and faster the more you want to go. But not really too smart to go incredibly fast because I do have bicycle V brakes on it, and those are the only brakes I have on it right now. So if you're building anything like this, I'd recommend probably putting some rear brakes on it too. I just haven't gotten them yet. But I've just been driving it on back roads, and if anything pulls out in front of me, I can usually see it coming a mile away. But headlights still haven't hooked up yet. I think I'm going to get a little motorcycle battery and probably a solar panel to charge them since the motor won't charge them. See, I have a sweet little Skull brake lever here I got off the internet somewhere. The twist throttle is all taped up here so I can keep the cable in. There's no return spring, so if you do that, it stays. So it's a little goofy, but it's pretty much like having a cruise control, I guess. And with this thing, it's all or nothing on the throttle anyway, so it's not like you're ever going to feather the throttle or anything. The intake on it, I know it's gaudy and pointless, but I needed something to fill up this big gap in the frame here, so I had a couple old air filters, one off my Del Sol, so I painted that green and took a trampoline leg and pounded the snot out of it and welded it to a washer, honed it out so it would fit the top of the carburetor, and threw it on there. So I know it doesn't really do anything more than having a little tiny performance filter, but I figured it'd be something to do to fill the frame up there. The exhaust is a 3/4 inch water pipe. It starts out as a 1/2 inch screwed into the engine, goes to 3/4. I actually bought the wrong size pipe, and that's why I made that size. And I have a coupler right here that allows me to take the exhaust off, disconnect it from the motor if I want to take just the motor off. Then it runs down to a galvanized leg off my old trampoline. Just welded a washer on there and welded the pipe to it and threaded it in. But the kickstand is actually a piece of rebar welded to a hitch pin with a spring on it. So you just kind of kick it back, and it stays back. Then pull it straight out. And it leans over quite a bit, but it gives it a neat look when it's just sitting there. So I left front pegs on the wheel up front here. I took a rear axle from the old wheel, put it in the front since it's longer, has more threads on it, and these pegs are threaded all the way out to about right here. So that gives me about 1.5 inches of threading just to make sure the front wheel doesn't fall off. You know, if the rear wheel were to fall off, it'd be a little less dangerous than the front, so I figured I should at least be safe. And that's why I also built my own front fork instead of using, you know, a suspension mountain bike front fork like I originally had. Tires are 2.1 inch, 20 inch tall, just, you know, high quality BMX racing tires. They take 65 pounds of pressure, really low rolling resistance, so I believe that's why this thing gets so much better gas mileage than like a typical moped or something. Last time I filled it up, it cost me 89 cents, and I got about 225 miles to the gallon on it. So we'll see how that goes. I also probably should have mentioned that I did modify the motor quite a bit, not counting the intake and exhaust and that junk, but I played with the carburetor a little bit, and I actually took the motor down to nothing. You know, took the motor completely apart. I took the carburetor out or the camshaft out. Geez, I took the camshaft out, and I actually, instead of buying another camshaft with a larger duration or higher lift or anything, this is going to sound really stupid to all the professionals out there, but I actually welded more material on top of the exhaust side of the cam, and then smoothed it back out with the stationary belt sander. So I pretty much have just a tiny bit extra lift, but a lot longer duration. And in my mind, I thought that would help me get better gas mileage, and I think it actually has. So, you know, take that, you know, as you want, but it definitely changed the exhaust note quite a bit. It sounds like it's a much bigger motor than it is. Like I said, it's only 109 cc. Burns a little bit of oil, but then again, I've also been running it full blast for about a week straight too, so I can definitely say a lot about these little Briggs & Stratton motors. This one didn't look like it had been used very much, so it's pretty much, you know, a 40-year-old brand new motor. But can't really think of much else to say about this thing. You know, the frame took me probably 4 to 6 hours to make just the basic frame, 1.5 hours or 2 for the front. Painting it, I had to pretty much make the rear wheel. Everything I might have 15 hours into this thing. I should also mention, if you're ever going to do anything like this, do not do like the little Chinese-made motors, you know, those motor kits where they bolt the sprocket right to the spokes. All you're going to end up doing is tearing the spokes apart. That was the first thing I did, and I just ripped it all up. Then I thought I was being really smart, and I took this motorcycle sprocket. You know, you probably can't see it, but I've drilled all kinds of crazy holes in it for different configurations. I bolted that right to the freewheel on a BMX wheel. That worked incredibly well. That way the sprocket would freewheel. When I coasted, it didn't spin all the chain and everything. The problem is the freewheel is reverse threaded, and that's a lot of pressure on the thing, so it'll eventually unscrew itself, strip itself, and then I just ruined a $40 BMX wheel. So what I did was I bought a hub from Choppers US on the internet. They have a disc brake rear hub, so it has a freewheel on one side and a disc brake attachment on the other. And I basically took a fender washer, you can't see it, but I welded a fender washer to the sprocket in here and drilled the hole so it would match the disc brake hub mount. And then on this side, you can see the freewheel attachment, or the freewheel threads on the side right here. All I did was flip this, I just flipped this wheel around and bolted it directly, and bolted the sprocket directly to the disc brake mount. So that way the sprocket is hooked directly to the steel hub. It's not to the spokes, it's not threaded on there or anything. It has 6 stainless steel screws that are Loctited in there. I mean, this thing is perfectly balanced. It doesn't go up and down. You don't have to worry about the chain flying all over the place, hitting the tire. It's a lot better arrangement. And if you wanted to get really fancy with it, you could actually have the chain be on the other side. I mean, I obviously have the jack shaft here, but if you could align everything to have the chain on this side and have the freewheel on the other, you could actually pedal this thing too, if you had pedals on it. So that's just something to think about for anybody who wants to make something like this. I pretty much have no formal fabrication experience whatsoever. I just did this with all flux core wire. I don't even have gas set up on my MIG welder. just takes a little bit of time and some ingenuity, and you can have something like this. But I guess I will ride it on back home, and that'll be it. So thanks for watching.